أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يسبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض الملك القدوس العزيز الحكيم. هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين وآخرين منهم لما يلحقوا بهم وهو العزيز الحكيم. ذلك فضل الله يؤتيه من يشاء والله ذو الفضل العظيم. مثل الذين حملوا التوراة ثم لم يحملوها كمثل الحمار يحمل أسفارا بئس مثل القوم الذين كذبوا بآيات الله والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين. أنا عماد حسين حماش من محافظة حلب.
My name is Imad Hussein Hammash from Halab district. I study in law school and am originally from a village named Balar Amun. I lived in Khalidiyya in Halab.
بضمن قراءتنا ودراستنا للسيرة النبوية المطهرة وللأحاديث الواردة عن النبي الأعظم.
Within my knowledge and studies about the Prophet's Sunnah and the Prophet's sayings, peace be upon him, and when I got to learn more about the tafsir of some Quranic verses and search about it in a detailed, accurate way, at that time in 1982, the martyrdom of Sayyid Abbas al-Musawi occurred. It had a great effect on the whole world. We heard about it on the radio. There were no broadcasting channels back then.
كان في واقعة في استشهاد السيد عباس الموسوي رضوان الله عليه هزت شوي كيان العالم بشكل كبير. سمعناها نحن من خلال الراديو ما كان في قنوات فضائية.
This urged me to know more about him. I was curious to know about this small nation that fights and stands up against our enemies, the Zionists. A nation that is fearless and cares for no blame because they know what they're doing. Throughout my researches about lots of matters, I found a lot of verses and stories that indicate the true original religion of Muhammad and the purified Imams, peace be upon them, that represent a normal extension for the prophecy, a normal extension for the right path. And after that I realized what I've studied, that they are the role models and examples that must be followed in the true original religion. In 1992, during the anniversary of Sayyid Abbas's martyrdom, like I previously mentioned, I was provoked to learn more about the Ja'fari doctrine, the doctrine of the 12 Imams. Throughout what I read about them, and it took me about a year of accurate studies and scrutiny regarding certain sayings and Quranic verses, such as, only Allah is your wali and his messenger, and those who believe, those who keep up prayers, and pay the poor rate while they bow. I studied about the tafsir in different sources, also the Quranic verse, and Allah only wishes to remove all abomination from you, ye members of the family, and to make you pure and spotless, which was mentioned after Hadith al-Kisa, when the Prophet, peace be upon him, gathered Imam Hussein and Imam Hassan and Imam Ali and Sayyidah Fatima, peace be upon them, and gathered them under the blanket and said, Lord, these are my household, remove them from abomination and make them pure. As well as the Mubahala Quranic verse, Come, let us call our sons and your sons, and our women and your women, and our near people and your near people. Then let us be earnest in prayer, and pray for the curse of Allah on the liars. The sons that are meant are Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein. The women are Sayyidah Fatima Zahra, and the near people are Imam Ali, peace be upon him. He is the closest to the Prophet, and it clearly indicates that Imam Ali and Sayyidah Zahra and Imam Hassan and Hussein are the extensions of the Prophet, peace be upon him. They are the successors and infallible Imams after him, which are to be followed and loved, and they are the leaders of the nation that continue the Prophet's true path. The difficulties I faced after converting were many. I can mention that after I converted to the religion of right and the right path of Muhammad by conviction and without any sterile discussion with any other person of a different religion, and without being against anyone, we were always calling for Islamic union from the first step we took on the oath of right, the path of Prophet Muhammad's right religion. I found that the Ja'fari doctrine and Ahlul bayt's Imams, peace be upon them, are the best to represent Islamic union. They are the great example of gathering the Islamic nation in general, in all its parts and doctrines and citizenship. I started to study certain sayings which are considered as evidence of Ahlul bayt's right to be followed, and the right of Ahlul bayt's Imams to lead the Islamic nation.
بدأنا في دراسة بعض الأحاديث التي هي تعتبر بدلالة قوية على أحقية أهل البيت وأحقية.
At the beginning, I can say that in the first year, no one knew that I converted. But through my dialogue with others, and through the way I focused on certain sayings that indicate the obligation to follow Ahlul bayt, peace be upon them, and the true path of Prophet Muhammad, the news was exposed that I converted and became the Ja'fari, and such things. And they used to call me inappropriate names, and said that I became a Maggi and an apostate, and such names.
الإنسان الفلاني متشيع، الإنسان الفلاني مستبصر، الإنسان الفلاني جعفري أو من هذه الأمور، وكانوا ينعتوها بنعوت يعني ما هي لائقة، يعني إنه أصبح مجوسي، أصبح صفوي، أصبح يعني مرتد من هاي الأمور.
Of course, even my family at first didn't accept the idea, but at the same time, this idea was not fought against. Things were going along in a diplomatic way, through dialogue. Yet, each considered that his point of view is the right one. So I didn't participate in such a dialogue. I refused to represent my idea that Ahlul Bayt have the right to be followed, because they represent the true religion of Muhammad, by fighting other parties. As for my friends and fellows, especially those who knew about Islamic studies, there were several discussions between us that might reach an impasse unintentionally. All I aim for is the Islamic Union, unifying Muslims on the principle that we worship only God and never do we worship anything with Him, and to apply what Prophet Muhammad ordered us. For all what he said about religion is knowledge, so we shall look to whom we are taking this knowledge from. From the beginning, when I started to learn and search in books, sources, it was out of total awareness and dedication to the truth I started to search for.
لذلك كان الدخول إلى
Therefore, the conversion to true religion of Muhammad and his family and the 12 Imams after him, peace be upon them, was out of total conviction that is never affected by anything and will never change at all.
لا يشوبها أي شائبة بحيث إنه أي شيء يصير معنا بموضوع الحوارات أو النقاشات يوصل إلى أنه يغير شيء من قناعاتنا. لا أبدا. صار في صعوبات كبيرة.
We overcame the difficulties we faced by being patient and repressing our rage in lots of situations. And Imam al-Qasim was our example in doing that. We heard a lot of curses, but we never cared about it. We ignored it all.
لا نلقي لها بالا نهائيا نتركها. قد يساء أحيانا.
Sometimes we hear insults about Ahlul bayt and Imam Ali, peace be upon him, and the Imams, peace be upon them. Of course, we don't accept that, but for the sake of unity of Muslims and not causing any separations, we avoided a lot of harm we faced. Ashura al-Imam Hussein, peace be upon him, is what we have. Imam al-Hussein was a yell of right against the oppressor, against the tyrant. Imam al-Hussein, peace be upon him, left Mecca on the Tarwiyah day. There were only few days or hours left for the Hajj to start. He left it all and went to confront oppression and tyranny with his family members, just to say, I shall not give you what you want in humiliation, and never shall I avow your authority like slaves do. He also said, I haven't came here out of greed. I came to ask reformation in my grandfather's nation, the messenger of God. I want to promote virtue and prevent vice. The epic of Ashura was the epic and battle that didn't benefit Muslims only. It was a benefit for all humanity. Nahru, Chufez, and lots of people that are advocates of freedom and not related to Islam considered Imam Hussein, peace be upon him, a role model and a great idol just because he represents a revolution of right against oppression and a revolution of right against falsehood in all senses of what a revolution means. One of the most important characteristics that a person should have when willing to convert to the Ja'fari doctrine, the original religion of Muhammad, is to avoid prejudice and intolerance, and avoid judging others' religions, and avoid sterile discussions that a person could harness anything through it just to prove he has a point. Regarding lots of educated and cultured people, we found it easy to discuss with them, and they became converters later on, and they became followers of Ahlul bayt's doctrine. On the other side, there were other people who were considered to be educated and aware and of an important cultural background. Discussions with them held a lot of fanaticism and intolerance towards any idea that differs from theirs. Yet, we always represented Ahlul bayt as a straight path to God in life, and of course, using evidence, not just opinions. Ahlul bayt, peace be upon them, are the only inclusive and comprehensive reference to all Muslims in this world. Ahlul bayt are the good word that represents a good tree, its roots are still in the soil, its stems are high in the sky, just as the Holy Quran describes them. Ahlul Bayt are the second wing along with the first wing, which is the Holy Quran. Using these two wings, the Islamic nation flies in heaven. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, I shall leave to you what will never lead you to aberration if you hold on to, the Holy Quran of God and Ahlul Bayt, and they shall never separate. The Islamic nation shall use these two wings of Islam, the Holy Quran and the purified family of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and the Imams and their instructions about life and the afterlife, to avoid obscurity and to fly high over any obstacle in this life, just like the Prophet did. Before this year, I hadn't visited any holy shrine except that of Sayyidah Zainab, peace be upon her, in Damascus, and Sayyidah Ruqayya, also in Damascus. Thank God, after I came to Lebanon, God gave me the chance to visit the sacred shrines in Iraq and Najaf, the shrine of Imam Ali, peace be upon him, and in Karbala, the shrine of Imam Hussein, peace be upon him, and Abu Fadl Abbas, peace be upon him. Also in Baghdad, Al-Imam Al-Qazim and Imam Jawad, peace be upon them. And I was honored to visit great scholars in Iraq, and some scholars that we are proud to belong to. What I felt there was a feeling words cannot describe, especially in Imam Hussein's shrine, where he was buried. It can't be described. For the first time when I entered close to the shrine, I remembered and witnessed all what I have read about Ashura, and all the sacrifices and loyalty and altruism that happened in Karbala, and how the alleged sacrifices all what he has to stick to his principles, and how he's dedicated to the case he's defending, fearless and unbeatable, just because he wants to announce for everyone that if the religion of Muhammad shall not be reformed except by killing him, then swords shall strike him. What a freed warrior was he to defend the religion of God and his grandfather, the Prophet of religion, peace be upon him. Considering social relations and cousins and what relates us with people we used to deal with, nothing changed. On the contrary, after this turning point in my life, I tried to be more open to them and get closer to them, so that I represent Ahlul Bayt's morals, peace be upon them, to show that they are the purified ones who taught us affection towards family and who taught us to have social relations based on love. As for the spiritual side, considering we are one of the few people in the area we lived in known to be followers of Ahlul Bayt and the Ja'fari doctrine, we tried to show them the positive side of our conversion, how we stick to the right path, how we became religious because Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq said, "Be a good example for us." We tried to be just like Imam as-Sadiq ordered us to be. Be examples to us, not by your tongue.
التدين في موضوع انه يعني يكون على مبدأ وقول الامام جعفر الصادق عليه السلام كونوا زينا لنا وكنا نحاول انه حتى نكون على كمان على قول الامام.
So we try to get close to people to show them that all what Al-Ja'fari doctrine and Ahlul Bayt have is for our sake, for the sake of promoting virtue and preventing vice. All what they have is for the sake of defending right and fighting falsehood, and reviving the original religion of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. If someone converted out of conviction and research and awareness, and by the human natural instinct that God created people with, nothing might form an obstacle in front of him, especially if his role model is Imam Hussein, peace be upon him. Imam Hussein was the leader of all beings at that time, and his family, the purified ones, the heroes, the martyrs that were surrounding him, they all sacrificed themselves for the sake of promoting virtue and preventing vice. Whose role model is Imam Hussein, peace be upon him? Nothing stands against him. No expiatory, no threat of murder, no threat of doing anything, especially if you heard what Imam Hussein, peace be upon him, said. Do you threaten me with death? Murder is our habit, and our dignity from God is martyrdom. We are the lovers of Islam. We are the lovers of Muhammad ibn Abdullah. We fear no one, and that whom is supposed to follow this original religion should have Imam al-Hussein as a role model, and never fear to be blamed as long as God is with him. To all our folks and our Islamic nation in the area, there is someone trying to show Islamic religion as a religion of terrorism and murder and bad morals and theft and destruction. This is what the expiatory is trying to do, thinking this is true Islam. But actually, they, whether they are aware of it or not, they are nothing but tools in the hands of the US and Israel to destroy the morals of Islam. I advise everyone to read Islam accurately.
قل يا أيها الذين هادوا إن زعمتم أنكم أولياء لله من دون الناس فتمنوا الموت إن كنتم صادقين ولا يتمنونه أبدا بما قدمت أيديهم والله عليم بالظالمين قل إن الموت الذي تفرون منه فإنه ملاقيكم ثم تردون إلى عالم الغيب والشهادة فينبئكم بما كنتم تعملون يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون فإذا قضيت الصلاة فانتشروا في الأرض وابتغوا من فضل الله واذكروا الله كثيرا لعلكم تفلحون وإذا رأوا تجارة أو لهوا انفضوا إليها وتركوك قائما قل ما عند الله خير من اللهو ومن التجارة والله خير الرازقين صدق الله العلي العظيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل بربك وانحر إن شانئتك هو الأبتر. صدق الله العلي العظيم.